Currently in our area, 80 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Today, sunshine and clouds mixed. High 85. Winds southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, partly cloudy skies. Low 69. Winds south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Friday, mainly sunny. High 91. Winds south-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
In the meantime, we've got a look at the destruction that was left behind in Puerto Rico by Hurricane Maria. This is the San Juan Hilton, which looks more like an abandoned building. Windows were blown out. Debris has been scattered everywhere. And this was a fairly solid concrete building. So we're continuing to see damage, and its communication tries to get back to working order. And so it's been very difficult to get some of these images back as a result of that as well. Let's look at the latest on the cone of Maria now, which is a Category 3 hurricane still, with winds of around 115 miles per hour. It's moving north of the Dominican Republic right now, pushing to the north and west. It's going to be moving towards the Turks and Caicos, likely staying just to the east of there, feeling those impacts tonight and through the day tomorrow. And then as we head towards the weekend, making closest approach towards the Bahamas, a turn off towards the north and east, a gradual bend in that track down the line, which keeps it farther away from the U.S. coastline, which would be good news. While there is time right now for Maria to strengthen in the next 24 to 48 hours, we do think down the line, as it gets a little closer to the U.S. coastline, it will start to weaken a little bit due to some of the wind shear that's moving in. In addition to Maria, we're also keeping our eye on tropical storm Jose, which is causing impacts in the northeast, Alex.
Yeah, it is slowing down a bit, though, off the east coast, but still causing some issues there right along the shore. You're looking in on some of the wave action taking place here for us. Of course, the rip current risk that continues to remain pretty high. But people are out there trying to grab some pictures, even doing a little fishing there as well. But got to be careful for those higher waves trying to sneak their way on in. So that's the situation here for us. It's really along the coast where we're seeing some of the bigger problems, and also some of those winds that are gusty as well, in some cases getting up around tropical storm force for parts of southeastern New England. So here's the latest on Jose. 60-mile-per-hour winds here for us, with moving basically not much, stationary. So it's just sort of sticking around here, put its foot on the brakes, and just sort of spinning here just off the southeast New England coast. At times we've seen some of the clouds coming on in. At times we've seen some showers moving on in, but we've also seen some gusty winds. There's the visible satellite. There's the center of the circulation. You can see some of the outer cloud shield moving on in. Eastern Massachusetts, across Long Island, even back across New York City, seeing some clouds as well. Not much in the way of rain showing up there. Bulk of that is remaining offshore. The exception here right around the Cape, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, seeing some passing showers here and there, but we're also seeing some of those stronger winds. Look at Nantucket now gusting up close to 50 miles per hour. Boston close to 40. So watch out there. We've got some of these wind advisories that are in place here for today and into the early part of tomorrow. Could bring down some tree limbs, lead to some power outage issues, so keep that in mind. What we're going to notice here with Jose in the next couple of days is it's basically going to hang off the coast, meandering around. There's just nothing to steer it and get it out of the way. So sticking around, Jackie, and kicking up those waves.
All right, well, from the East Coast, we'll take you to the nation's heartland. The threat of severe weather is targeting the plains. We're going to time out when those storms are moving into your area as Weather Center Live continues.
Currently in our area, 80 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Today, sunshine and clouds mixed. High 85. Winds southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, generally clear. Low 69. Winds south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Friday, mainly sunny. High 91. Winds south-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Drone video just into the Weather Channel of Maria damage in Catano, Puerto Rico. This is located just across the bay from San Juan. You can see the flooded streets and neighborhoods, a lot of water, and the flood threat continuing as we speak right now across all of Puerto Rico. Well, in other weather-related news, we've got a war of the seasons, which is happening in the middle of the country. Cool weather's hovering around the Rockies, and warm conditions are hanging out over the plains. It's the plains, though, where things may become serious with a chance of severe thunderstorms in places like Fargo, North Dakota, and North Platte, Nebraska, as we take a live look at those locations. So the severe weather risk today is kind of marginal, but we think that risk will be increasing as we head into your Friday. So the risk area of concern includes much of Minnesota and then a little skinny line here that stretches down towards the western plains. That's along the cold front that's going to be pushing through the area. The Twin Cities could see some strong to severe thunderstorms, and your temperatures are going to be really warm ahead of the system and then cooling back down behind it. So you're going to be seeing a big flip-flop in your temperatures over the next couple of days, and where the two come together is where that severe weather is going to break out across the country. So we do have this potent cold front behind it. The air is cold enough with elevation. Yep, we're getting a little bit of snow, believe it or not, in some locations, and then we'll see the showers and thunderstorms ahead of the system. As we take a look at the severe weather risk as we move into your Saturday, it will be more focused across much of Nebraska and into western parts of Kansas. Notice periphery storms could be strong as well up into the Dakotas and through much of Minnesota too into your Saturday. Here's a look at how much rainfall we can expect with this, and we start to see some of that gold. That's a good bit. So that includes both rounds of thunderstorms through Monday. So 3 to 5 inches, a good possibility. There could be some isolated flash flooding or standing water on the roadways. Use a lot of caution if you're going to be traveling along the I-90 corridor as well as the I-29 corridor. Areas like Wichita into central parts of Oklahoma, your rainfall totals are going to be a little bit lesser, maybe an inch or two, and that would be with some of those locally or heavier downpours. And there you can see that snow out west as well. A look at your forecast in Fargo. We're looking for showers and thunderstorms on your Friday. Temperatures around 80 degrees. Look at the high temperature as we head into your Saturday, dropping down about 20 degrees. Alex.
All right, Jackie, now the desperate search for survivors continues following the deadly magnitude 7.1 earthquake that struck Mexico City on Tuesday. Let's get to the recovery forecast here over the next several days. And you see what will be happening, the chance for showers and storms just about each and every day, particularly during the afternoon hours. We've got that through at least the early part of next week, where high temperatures should top out in the 70s.
Currently in our area, 80 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Today, sunshine and clouds mixed. High 85. Winds southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, generally clear. Low 69. Winds south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Friday, mainly sunny. High 91. Winds south-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
We are checking in some new video into us here. You can see some of the damage left behind there in and around San Juan, Puerto Rico. You've got planes that are essentially flipped and on their sides, tossed about there. A lot of flooding across the area as well. And the airport closed to public travel until tomorrow.
That's right. They do have some emergency flights for crews, as well as trying to get supplies in and out available for that. But they've got a lot of water and a lot of debris that has to be cleaned up.
Not to mention power out across the island.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right. Well, thanks for staying with us here on Weather Center Live. I'm meteorologist Alex Wallace.
And I'm meteorologist Jackie Jarras. Hurricane Maria now churning next to the Dominican Republic. It's bringing some strong winds, heavy rain, and storm surge. We've got some new drone video that we want to show you here of damaged homes in Puerto Rico. This is across the bay from San Juan where this video is taken. Many homes have roofs which have been ripped off. We've got a lot of standing water across the area as well.
Some of the structures out there even flattened. Widespread damage to the community across the bay, as Jackie mentioned there, with the severe flooding, heavy rainfall, that continuing today there across the island.
Well, Hurricane Maria is still causing problems in Puerto Rico. It's going to bring the rain today, and the flood threat is there as well.
And meteorologist Paul Goodloe brings us the very latest from San Juan.
Hurricane Maria definitely did not obey the speed limit here with the powerful winds, 120 mile per hour winds coming through here, laying waste to a lot of trees here. We're at the La Ocho surf spot, or the 8 surf spot, a great surfing spot here in San Juan, and everywhere you look, there is damage to trees, even coconuts blown off as well. And you got to remember, we're not quite done in terms of the damage. The wind is gone, but not the rain. Every single county here, the entire island under a flash flood warning. That means, yeah, we still have a flood threat for 3.5 million Americans here. But look at what happened to this tree. Imagine the canopy here, even 36 hours ago, how glorious it was, and then the winds of Maria just ripped this thing apart. It might be perhaps a year before this thing starts to heal itself. And then up the road, evidence of more of the power of Maria. Those street lights are mangled. Doesn't really matter because power is out. Yeah, we're talking the entire island without power. The only places with power, hotels and some apartment buildings that have their own generators. But the question is, how long will the gas last to run those generators? Again, the infrastructure here has taken a massive blow. It might be a while to get even gas in to even refill those tanks. So again, a lot of devastation and a long road, maybe months to a year of recovery here across much of Puerto Rico.
That's exactly right, Paul. Maybe even longer than that. It is remarkable to see those images coming out of Puerto Rico and how much destruction there was. Unfortunately, the Dominican Republic is getting some of that right now. They're getting lashed probably by hurricane force winds and certainly a lot of rain with the potential for flash flooding and catastrophic mudslides. So the disaster continues, unfortunately, across parts of the Caribbean with Hurricane Maria, Category 3 Hurricane Maria, as of the latest advisory from 11 o'clock this morning, the Hurricane Center. A lot of rain still yet to come across parts of the DR, and you can see a lot of that will be exacerbated by the topography there, the high mountains there with water flowing down them and leading to some mudslides. This is a big problem when you have high terrain interacting with a tropical cyclone. Those are bad combinations, and unfortunately we're dealing with that now. Maybe there's some good news here when I look at this satellite picture, and you can follow along with me. The hurricane hunter's been finding some pretty strong winds this morning, around 120 miles per hour, but yet when you look at the satellite, there's some factors that suggest maybe its presentation is not quite as strong as it once was earlier, even 12 hours ago. We've lost some of the high cloud cover here, suggesting that there is some wind shear coming in from the west, some winds aloft and some dry air associated with that, maybe getting involved in the circulation overall a little bit. And also, the structure of the eye is not as circular as it was. It's getting roughed up a little bit. It's actually moving over the cooler waters left behind by Hurricane Irma days ago. It left a wake, a cool pool, and this is now moving over that. So those two factors may be sort of inhibiting it from strengthening more than it otherwise would. And I still think there's a window of opportunity for that to happen over the next 24 hours as it eventually moves away from the island and moves into this region, unfortunately near the Turks and Caicos, where the water is very, very warm and supportive of a high-end hurricane. The wind field overall looks roughly like this. Not exactly, but this is a pretty good estimate with the hurricane force winds here in red, hurricane force force gusts in orange and tropical storm force winds extending outward beyond that in the yellow shades. You could see how those brush by the Turks and Caicos likely tomorrow morning. There may be wind gusts of 75 miles per hour there. And then moving northward, likely escaping the Bahamas, I think. They will not see tropical storm force winds. That's good. Of course, a little wiggle here and there could change things radically, but this is the way it looks right now. But still, there would be weather impacts and very big waves, no doubt about that. And speaking of the big waves, going from this weekend and beyond, there'll be some very big waves and rip currents, high surf advisories likely coming up, and also some coastal beach erosion. Thanks to Maria, though way offshore and keeping the bad weather way offshore, the peripheral impacts on the beaches will be felt not just this weekend, but probably early next week and up the coast into the Carolinas. And it looks like thereafter, the confidence is growing that Maria will likely remain offshore, the center of it. But again, the beach impacts may be significant all the way up into the Northeast throughout next week. Alex, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Dr. Postel. Meanwhile, of course, impact still being felt there on Puerto Rico. Flash flood watches in effect over towards the Virgin Islands as well. We still have more rain to go, unfortunately, here for us, as some of these river gauges, they are already in major flood stage, and they have risen rapidly across the island. So any more additional rainfall is certainly not going to help matters at all. Let's take you through, put it into future mode, and there's Maria, the core of it, at least the strongest of the winds, staying north of the Dominican Republic as well as Haiti, but still rainfall surrounding that. So even though you're not getting the worst of the winds, still finding yourselves dealing with some of that rain coming on through. And we'll notice here as we work our way through time, a little bit of a tail that swings its way on into Puerto Rico as we move through our Friday. Late in the day, another round of some heavy rain may try to move on in, and that, of course, could lead to some more problems there. Additional rainfall, particularly on the south side, could be in the order of 3 to 5 inches of rain. Meanwhile, Jackie still having to deal with Jose off the East Coast.
Some inconvenient issues, I guess, more than anything else, but the biggest impacts right there on the beaches that you're taking a look at. We've got the water hazards as well as beach erosion and some coastal flooding, which will continue to be a concern there in East Hampton. They're going to get some gusty winds on the range of 30 to 60 miles per hour, potentially that strong. But most of those stronger winds have been offshore. We haven't seen anything over 48, I don't think, yet today. So maximum sustained winds with Jose, 60 miles per hour. It's about 150 miles away from the coastline, but those tropical storm force winds extend out about 200 miles from the center of the storm. So that's why we're just kind of getting the brush. And this thing isn't moving at all. So the impacts are going to kind of stay with you over the next couple of days. We've got low clouds across the northeastern corridor. We've got delays right now at Newark Airport. Arrival delays are just over an hour now, and we could see those delays extended to some of the other big airports into the northeast. So make sure you go ahead and check on that. Rainfall, for the most part, has stayed offshore, but you can see along the Cape as well as Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard, you've been getting some of the occasional bands of the showers. Rainfall amounts over the next couple of days should stay within the 1 to 3 inch range. There's a small possibility that we could get some locally heavier amounts. So here's a look at the forecast track. It basically just kind of puts a big blob out there. It's a circle. It's not even a cone, isn't it? Because there's just not much to steer this the next few days. And the good news is that it's expected to stay on the weaker side and continue to kind of decay. And there you can see the rain bands continuing to push in through today and through tomorrow.
Well, Maria barreled over Puerto Rico, causing devastating damage across the island.
Well, coming up, we're going to take a closer look at what Hurricane Maria left behind.
Currently in our area, 80 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Today, sunshine and clouds mixed. High 85. Winds southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, generally clear. Friday, mainly sunny. High 91. Winds south-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
are checking in on Hurricane Maria. The latest forecast track showing that northwest motion continuing and then making more of a turn to the north as we head to the weekend. Now, early next week, notice the curve to the north and the east, getting a bit more confident that at least the core of Maria will stay off the east coast shore. Not a guarantee, but getting more confident in that. Watch out, though. There still could be some indirect impacts out there along the east coast, so that is certainly a concern with Maria at this point.
Nice to see that turn off towards the east. Hopefully that continues to stay that way. The models have been trending that way, but you definitely need to monitor it as we move through the weekend. So don't tune out to the Weather Channel.
All right. Well, the U.S. Army is leading the response to Hurricane Maria, and Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands will need plenty of help to recover from this powerful storm.
For sure. Well, Brigadier General Diana Holland is the commander of the Army Corps of Engineers South Atlantic Division, and she's joining us live from Atlanta right now. Good morning, or good afternoon, I guess. Are you able to
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
There we go. We've got a little bit of delay, so be patient with us.
I am able.
So what is your top priority right now?
Well, right now, our priorities are to continue to support the effort in Florida because, of course, Florida is part of our area of operations, and that is ongoing as a result of Hurricane Irma. But we have ongoing operations in the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico post Hurricane Irma, and then everyone had to hunker down and get through Hurricane Maria. And so as they come out of their shelters, where they were sheltered at for the storm, they want to get on the ground and start the assessments. And so the priorities for the assessments is the power infrastructure. We want to provide temporary power as soon as possible. We like to say that with power, then other things are more manageable. Secondly, would be to assess the critical infrastructure to include hospitals and airports. It's very important when you think about the logistics required to build up our assets in those islands that we have ports of entry. So right now the airports are closed. The ports and harbors are also closed. So it's important that we get those help to get those open and start moving all the assets that we need in support of FEMA. And I want to be clear about one thing. We are in support of FEMA, so we are not leading the recovery effort. We are FEMA's engineer, and so we provide engineer capabilities to them, such as debris removal, power, as I've already spoken about, and things like temporary roofing. So I know that the priorities for the different governors is to get people out of shelters, reunite survivors, and get them home. And so that's going to require a lot of work on our part to support the governor's priorities.
I can imagine it's going to take some time. Any estimate on how long you expect to have soldiers and have resources in place for these islands?
Right now, it's a little unclear until we see the volume and the scope of the damage, but I think it will be months that we will be involved in the immediate recovery. As far as the long-term recovery of the islands, it could be even longer.
All right. Thanks so much, Brigadier General Diane Holland, for giving us that information.